Lisa McLeod. I'm the payroll manager here at Ellis Co. We've been inundated with questions over the last few weeks on how the government plans to help businesses during the coronavirus pandemic. I've put together this short webinar to help answer a few of those questions. One of our most common questions is relation to the job retention scheme. If an employer has a PAYE scheme in place and has had since the 28th of February 2020, then yes, you should be able to make a claim against the job retention scheme. It's for those workers that have been furloughed but retained on the payroll instead of making them redundant. We also ask quite a lot if directors can make a claim. The simple answer is yes. As long as the directors have furloughed themselves and not working to generate business for the company, then they're still able to claim, but they must not do anything else other than directorial duties like payroll and filing returns. Another question we get asked quite a lot is, how do we furlough our employees? To furlough an employee, you must write to your employee with your intentions, because furlough relates to an employee that you've asked to stop working but still want to pay them instead of making them redundant. You must, when you write to them, you must outline that your intentions, how much you are going to pay them, what dates you are furloughing them from, and if possible to. The government has agreed to pay 80% of the wage or up to £2,500, whichever is the lower amount. Obviously you'll have to do a calculation to work this out. There is a two-step calculation for those people who are on variable pay, so I would suggest that you look at the legislation and apply it accordingly. Before writing to your employees, I'd suggest that you get HR or legal advice, because if you get this wrong, then you could be in breach of contract, so just be aware that there are obstacles in place and you need to get this right. Another question that we get is how and when can we make the claim? The government hasn't launched the portal as yet, it's due any day now. The employee must be paid by the employer in their usual way with the new rates that you've advised them in their letter that you've written to them. In addition to this, the employer must keep accurate records relating to all employees who they've furloughed. To make the claim when the portal is open, it can be backdated to the 1st of March 2020. It's initially open for 3 months but could be extended if necessary. Once the portal is open, the employer or an agent can make the claim. If Ellis Co are your agents, then we can make the claim on your behalf. If we're a file-only agent for yourselves, then we can still assist you, but the employer will need to get a government gateway login to make the claim online. It's quite easy to do, but it takes 10 days, so if you don't have a login, then my suggestion would be that you start now, and then the code will come through and you'll be able to get the ball rolling that way. Another thing that we get asked quite regularly is how and when and what do we pay for statutory sick pay. If an employee is not suffering from coronavirus, then you must adhere to the normal legislation. What applies to an employee is that they must be paid from the 4th day of absence, and this is anything to do with normal sickness, not coronavirus. If an employee is self-isolating because they are suffering from symptoms or caring for someone living in the same household who is self-isolating or shielding, then the employee must be paid from day 1 of absence. If someone who is self-isolating or is shielding, they don't have to provide a GP's fit for work note, but sometimes employers must insist on an isolation note, but employers should use their own discretion. An employee can obtain an isolation note from 111. We've also got a link on the Ellis Co webpage where you'll find a copy of the isolation note. SSP is paid up to 28 weeks, but the employer can only claim back 2 weeks if they have 250 employees or less, and it is capped at 2 weeks for self-isolation. If you've got 250 or more employees, then you can't make a claim for statutory sick pay at all. If anybody is on leave due to sickness, you must keep accurate records for absence. Finally, we are getting asked questions about holidays. Now, new regulations on annual leave have been drafted so that employees do not lose out at all for their annual leave entitlement. They're making sure that businesses are not left short-staffed due to the coronavirus pandemic, and that everybody is entitled to their full annual leave. The new regulations allow employees to carry forward their annual leave spanning over 2 years, but you can only carry up a maximum of 4 weeks annual leave over. The information that I've given you in this short webinar is correct at the time of recording, and if you require any in-depth information on the questions covered by this webinar, please do not hesitate to look at our webpage at Ellis Co Chester. From here, all at Ellis Co, we thank the key workers for all the great work that they are doing. We wish you all well. Stay at home, stay safe, say lies.